Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrated Preparedness. Well, no doubt you've heard all about the assassination attempt on Trump yesterday. I haven't watched a lot of news. I want to talk a little bit about this, though. I haven't watched any news really. Got home from the gathering last night. Well, what a great time that was! It was amazing to meet those of you who came, able to put faces together with the names that we see in the comment section. And what a great group! It was a pleasure to meet you all and talk with you all. Have some really great people, some exceptional people came. Uh, we were in the middle of uh, a presentation by our lead medic, Mark. He was talking about emergency field medicine and the realities. I think a lot of people get sidetracked and kind of glorify and they see the possibilities of a grid down situation through somewhat rosy glasses. And he was talking about the reality of what would happen in a complete collapse, a grid down situation, and how a lot of people may have a somewhat distorted idea of what can and cannot be done. When we're talking about emergency uh, medical care, and without all of the modern backup systems that we have now. So here we were in the middle of that, and while I was listening attentively, because I always learn so much when I listen to Mark, I try to get him just talking. He's one of those guys that I just want him to keep on talking uh, so that I can keep on learning. But Kelly passed me her cell phone and showed me the announcement, the headlines that Trump had been shot. So I didn't look into it too much yesterday, and and I haven't watched any news. Too many. I shouldn't say that. I haven't watched any news. I've seen a couple of headlines. Um, I've seen quite a few of the video clips. Okay, so some really interesting things going on there. I have watched two videos on other YouTube channels. Well, one on Patreon, and they were both very good, and they came at it from somewhat different angles. And I'll tell you which ones those are. There are not many YouTube channels out there that well, you all know I don't follow many, I don't watch many. Uh, Joe Fox on Viking Preparedness did a very good, uh, fairly detailed uh, critique. I call it that critique of the Secret Service actions and responses in there. They were pathetic. They were pathetic. I've never been on a primary personal protection detail. I did serve on a secondary for Reagan in 1976 at the Republican National Convention in Kansas City. My team was paired with a military team to provide uh, perimeter and moving security for Reagan and the venue at which it was one of the big hotels. Well, it was a Mulebach Hotel in Kansas City. Um, no, I better not go into that. But anyway, we were prepared to provide perimeter and moving security for them. I have a bit of training in personal protection and things like that. I don't claim to be a frontline guy on that. It wasn't my primary thing, but even from a perspective of that, the Secret Service response yesterday was inexcusable, inexcusable. And if you want more details, Joe does a pretty good job going through all that. Pinball Preparedness was the other one that I watched, and I'm going to take it in a different direction here in a minute. But I wanted you to know about this. Um, he comes at it from a different perspective, and he addresses it from a different perspective, and that is what's the truth of the matter here. And I think that's important to talk about. Now, as far as critiquing the actions of the Secret Service, I don't know whether this was a bunch of DEI hires. It certainly wasn't like the Secret Service that I recall, and they did so many things wrong. It's unbelievable. It created a great moment for Trump that he was able to stand up and shake his fist and show. I mean, he showed a great deal of uh, of, of, of poise in that situation. And man, it was a God given moment for him. So the Secret Service, man, um, there will be full investigations, and we will never know what comes of that. I'm sure that they will do. I'm sure that we'll be fed a whole bunch of information in the next week or so, and they're on it, and they found this out, and they found that out, and everything's okay now, and all that. I'm sure they'll do the same fine job that they did in the investigation of the Kennedy assassination, right? Yeah. And pinball comes at it from a different perspective, and that is what is the truth? What's really going on here? We're not going to know. We could have our ideas, and I may go into this on a later one. I don't know. I have a different point that I want to make today. And for the guy who says, well, get to the point then. Well, I'm sorry if your attention span is too short to listen to some thoughtful conversation. But bye-bye. Um, don't so we're not going to know. But the possibilities are endless. You know, why was the Secret Service protection? Why was the detail so lax? And they were. Preparation for something like that is tight, but all sorts of things. You can get things done in all sorts of ways, and one way is, and I've experienced this myself, is by assigning a substandard team to a detail, right? Well, anyway, I want to get to my point here. So pay attention. It'll be interesting. I may get into this later, but I don't care to today. Uh, I interrupted Mark during his presentation, and I announced this to the group there at the gathering. And you know what the response was, and you know how many people talked about this. Do you know how much conversation was generated by this after the announcement? None. Right? Yeah, none. And that was I thought that was great. I wanted to announce it, but uh, the important thing, and here's the point I'm getting to. Too many people allow their preparedness to be driven by politics. Now, we saw the real explosion of preparedness as the last iteration of preparedness came about. I think there was kind of a sweet spot there where what was that zombie show that was out? I don't know. You'll Walking Dead, and then that show. What was it? Doomsday Preppers came out, and it was during the Obama situation where a lot of people on the political right were very worried, including me, were very worried about what was happening to our country. Now, in some cases, people were worried about the possibility of CME. One thing the Doomsday Prepper show brought to the forefront were actual dangers that a lot of people uh, hadn't really thought of before. Some people had, but a lot of people had. I was telling somebody yesterday, we were talking about what really got us into preparedness, and that really was what got me uh, supercharged, shall I say? And because that was when I first started looking into the probability of an EMP or a CME. Um, so there was kind of a sweet spot there that between that show and the zombie show and I mean the zombie TV show, again, what is it? Walking Dead, and and the fact that Obama was in there, and we saw our constitutional rights under attack, and we saw that he really was trying to, his great worldwide apology tour that was weakening America. He was working for a fundamental change of America. It worried those of us who although we know that our country is imperfect, uh, understand that our strength lies in those fundamental principles under God that our country, or that our founders based the formation of this country on, and that we did very well following for some years anyway. So there was that sweet spot, and everybody. That's when the real boom, the latest boom of preparedness occurred, and then something happened, and that was that Trump was elected, and people start. I mean, the preparedness business just went in the tank, down, 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 down. Why? Because people thought, well, the threat was gone. The threat was over. Because and I said, we discussed this, and Mark was one of the group that discussed it back then. Do we have a 4-year reprieve or an 8-year reprieve? Depending on whether he was a 1 or a 2-term president. And I said at the time, use this time. Just like the story of Joseph in the Bible. Yes, I'm going to talk about this, the real story of Joseph in the Bible, and it's not the one that most people think. I'll probably do it on the church channel, and I'll let you know about it when I do it. It's actually a matter of well, no, I won't even tell you. So I told people, don't relax during this time when it seems like now all the problems are going to be taken care of. The problems are never all going to be taken care of. There are too many problems. And this is why you don't rely on government. But a lot of people did. They did relax. I said, use that time. Use this kind of relaxation time, a time of comparative safety, to really up your preps. And a lot of people did, and most people didn't. And that was a mistake. With Biden coming in, people started revving up their preparedness again. And the thought of a Biden reelection here is scaring more people. Yeah, I think it's scaring more people than were scared during Obama, because Obama gave us a sneak peek at what can really happen. Okay. Now, what happened yesterday with the attempted assassination of Trump? I think it almost assures his reelection. But that's a different story. I'll cover that probably on the political channel. But the point is this. First off, you're never going to know. And it's not like I know. I'm not saying I know and you don't. No. We're never going to know the truth of anything. Simple as that. Okay. And so you can't be swayed by what you hear or what you think you know as a result of what you hear. Okay. You can't be the leaf blowing in the wind, because that wind's going to change and you're just going to be blowing with it. You have to prepare, because you understand that this world is a crazy place. There is no man, there is no government who's going to change everything. And the threats you see on the surface, they're not even real indicators of the threats that are way down deeper. Because you would be amazed. Oh, maybe that sounds like I'm talking down to you. I'm not. I think most people, let me put it this way, would be amazed at the insanity and the complexity of the insanity that weaves its way beneath the surface that most people see. We live, it's a tenuous world. And the true preparedness minded person is not one who allows themselves to be affected by the news of the day, but by an understanding of the reality of life, and the fact that life has always contained within it a myriad of threats, simply situations that need to be prepared for and addressed. If you haven't prepared, you can't appropriately respond and successfully respond to to what the threats are. Now we'll see. Probably, I don't know whether we will see an uprising, a political uprising on the right over this. I doubt. I think we're going to hear a lot of noise. Uh, who knows? And nobody can know. And I know it's going to be the subject of a lot of conjecture, and I could probably make 10 videos on, just on this. What's going to happen? What do you think? Well, none of that makes any sense. It's just it's a water cooler conversation that nobody knows, and so conversation is pretty much useless. I mean, it's indulged in by those who simply want to be involved in the conversation as opposed to applying themselves to solutions for their own safety and security. So anyway, that's my point here today is don't allow yourself to be driven one way or another by what happens or what seems to be happening in the world on a daily basis. The world is crazy. It's nuts. And there are always going to be threats, and those threats are going to be moving. It's like, one day it's that thing over there, and then whoa, wait, look at that thing over there, and let's see what, you don't need, if you are responsive, to these kinds of things, you're never going to get your eye on the target, and the target is your preparedness, your ability to provide safety and security and quality of life for yourself and those who depend on you. So that's my message today. We'll see what happens, but what happens out there in the world doesn't or shouldn't have a lot to do with what you do. Okay? You want to be able to prosper, to do well, to live a good life, to live the proper life, under the direction of the good Lord Himself. Give yourself over to Him. Ask Him to direct you and to use you. Since it's Sunday and I'll be doing church later, I'll give you the line that I often use there. I start my day every day with this prayer before I get out of bed. I said, Lord, guide me in your ways and use me for your purposes. And if you do that, you're not going to get off the beam. So don't let this stuff affect you. Keep your eye on the target. Prepare yourself. Improve your life every day, and then do so in comparative peace. Don't get wound up here, and then watch the circus around you while you apply your energies to preparing to withstand whatever comes down the road. Okay? Hey, you all have a great day. It was great meeting everybody at the gathering yesterday. Love it. We'll do it again next year, and we will schedule the date farther out so that everybody has a chance to plan and like that. Safe travels for all of you who are driving back across the country to get home. God be with you. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.